We're back at the first annual Path to Indemnity conference. I'm here with somebody that I met for the first time yesterday, but I was very interested in what he had to say. Please tell people who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, I'm nobody. No,
Here you go. I like that movie. You seen that movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
My name's Tobias Patch. I am involved in the insurance industry in a lot of different ways. We do claims dispute settlement through appraisal and umpire work. Uh, own a restoration company that handles start to finish rebuild, mitigation, the whole 9 yards. And recently have started delving into the business creation and the automation and the software development for businesses that are in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so recently started to offer services related to essentially how you run your business and the automations that you would need in order to take time that is normally spent that's not very useful from maybe someone's skill set and turn that into an automated process that allows that person to put their time into things that really require their skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Helps increase efficiencies and things like that. And I'd say that's like the tip of the iceberg as to what we're getting into. There's some crazy paths you can go down with like AI and other things like that. But overall, the general compress or the makeup of what we're trying to provide businesses is the ability to understand the ins and outs of how their business operates at a very high level, um, and give them instant access to that through the use of software.
Mm-hmm. And how long did you say you've been doing?
So I've been in adjustings for about 3.5 years now. I've been in entrepreneurship and business owner since to be 2011, and my family, I think every single one of my family members, yeah, all of my family members own and run their own businesses.
Wow.
So it's in our family's DNA, I think, to do this type of work, which is doing something that we feel passionate about.
So since you were a kid, your family members?
Yeah, my father was a general contractor. I grew up building and woodworking and things that I feel like have set the foundation for my understanding of the work that's actually being performed. And then from there, I've just grown up. I've been in sales and marketing. I've worked in a couple of different tech-based companies, and I think the most offshoot thing, but probably one of the more fun things I've done is I owned and ran a food trailer for a while, and that was awesome. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's it's one thing to grow up in it and see your family doing, which I think is great because it made it you expect this now since a kid, and it's another thing to actually be the entrepreneur doing it. What have you discovered that might have been different than your perception looking at your family doing it to actually getting in? Okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't know this is what my family or my father or my mother was dealing with.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think when you see entrepreneurship and business ownership as an outsider, you kind of enjoy the idea of it, and you enjoy the concept of being someone who's taking responsibility for other people and for the creation of something that has value. And getting into it and actually doing that work has been a super big part of the growth of me as a person, because it's shown all of my weaknesses and continues to find them over and over and over again. And so it really, I think being in entrepreneurship has shown me more than anything, it determines your resiliency. It allows you to see how you handle stress. It allows you to see, what the weaknesses are that you have, and if you can't adjust and work with those weaknesses to become something that is a benefit to your business or a benefit to what you're doing by either forcing you to bring other people in that are better than you in certain areas, or forcing you to grow in an area that maybe you're not good enough in. Entrepreneurship for me has been just an eye opener about how horrible I am at certain things and how much I have to grow myself, which has given me a whole new respect for what my family members have done before me, even in knowing what they've had to go through in order to get to the levels of business that they're in. So it's just been a very interesting learning thing. The other thing is that I have been drastically surprised at the difference in a concept of business at the different age groups of my family members. So with me, it's like everything's tech based. I want everything to work through an app. I don't really want to go in and talk to somebody. I have no desire to have personal relationship in business and things like that outside of what I choose to have, right? So when I go to Walmart and I go to checkout, I have a choice. Like, okay, I want personal interaction because I have a cart full of stuff and I really do need some help. You know, like this is a big deal. Or I have a few items and I really had no intent of personal interaction today. I want to get through here and get out. And so I think that that need to have access to options is greater for me than it is other people in my family. Where it's like I want to be able to, if I'm a business in today's society, I want you to have the option to never talk to me and still get service. So much as I would like you to have the option to talk to me and get service. And the need to change your offerings to provide that option to customers is different than before. And so I'm starting to see business in such a open environmental way. You know, like it can really happen in a lot of different ways that some people are very closed off to. And it's like, well, it's just a part of your business. It's not your business entirely, but it's a part of it. And if people need it or want it, you really do have to kind of form yourself to provide that.
Yeah, I actually doing one of my courses, it was breaking down how the industries, at one point, all industries had the consumers okay with only being able to get in touch with them between Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Right.
And then here comes Apple saying 24-hour availability.
Right.
And everyone else in the industry, why are you doing this? They don't need this.
Right.
But they're saying, no, they do. So it seems like what you've discovered is it actively forces you to pinpoint your weaknesses, which you seem excited about. Most people don't.
Man, that's the only way that growth happens, is to find where you suck.
And it seems like it's shown you that people deserve options, even the entrepreneur, where it seems like your family was more analog,
Sure.
and you're more tech, or they're more DOS,
Yeah.
and you're more application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's kind of and it's weird because it's like it's not so much centered to my family or anyone. It's everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
This is across the board. You know, I work with businesses now where the owner in the business is, 45, 55, 65 years old, and they have built a phenomenal business, but they can't keep up with people who started 2 years ago, right? And it's like, well, I learned all these things over 20 years, and it's like, well, no one can replace that 20 years of experience and that knowledge. It's invaluable. But the things that you spend your time on, if you really dig into your business, are very seldom that 20 years of experience. You spend most of your time like following up on how many people are getting responded to in the right amount of time, or how many tasks are getting completed by everybody for a given project, or if you're on time for a project, or dealing with problems that if you really looked at, if you had actually kept track of those problems over those 20 years, you'd probably find that you're dealing with like the same 50 to 70% of problems, like they're the same over and over. And there could be standardized pathways to dealing with them that you probably already kind of have that only have little changes. And so working with some of these guys to say, look, you can take and condense 20 years of experience and then no longer have to be the person or the magic man that handles everything in your business, right? Because you've earned the opportunity to not have to be that person anymore. You just have to have the know-how to be able to present it in a way to somebody where you can say, you know what, I've done my part. I've given you everything you need to be successful as an employee. I've given you training. I've given you access to knowledge. I've taken things that I've spent blood, sweat, and tears to get and earn, and I've provided them to you to be successful. And then I've given you a system to work within that I can actually see whether you're being successful or not. And I can say to you, hey, listen, coaching this month is going to be based off of the fact that we're behind schedule on your projects, and I can show you where. And not only can I show you where, I've taken a little bit of extra time with my 20 years of experience to help you with some ideas on how to fix this. The amount of time that would take a business owner without technology is the reason that their business doesn't grow substantially. They have all the parts and pieces there. They just need a little bit of a tweak in the delivery of that information.
No longer the magic man. And I forget how I first heard this, but to someone who's experiencing science for the first time, they can't even differentiate science from magic.
Yeah.
So that brings us into what you're doing now, because I know we were talking the other day, which first you sold the cake, now you're selling the recipe with AI. So please, how does that work? How do you extract all of that experience from somewhere and put it into your AI, the what you're developing, the proprietary AI that you're developing?
So, the if you consider the way that the insurance industry operates, this is the foremost, literally the name of some companies. Like they are the champs of data collection and the use of data. Right?
Centuries of data collection.
Yeah, and not only the data collection, but the actual manipulation and the use of said data for the purpose of furthering their business and their industry. And being at this conference is just a phenomenal baseline to explain what I'm about to explain. So the reason that we're here at this conference is because everyone here recognizes the importance and the value of sharing with each other how they are successful, right?
Hmm.
And you can get real far into the weeds here, but the concept of that is that all comes back down to data, right? That comes back down to yeses and nos and zeros and ones, and people sometimes can't put these things together. But the reality is that like AI and those things, and the reason it's such a big deal, and the reason that you keep hearing about it, and it didn't stop being something that somebody talked about 10, 15 years ago, or that you saw in movies like 30 years ago. Movies 30 years ago is today. The reason that it's still here and it's still going on is because it is a big deal, and it has implications that people don't understand yet.
Hmm.
And so, when you consider that, when we do things, we do them based off of information. So really, you just need to gather the information in order to give a computing system the ability to process it. So the problem a lot of times is the gathering of the information. It's not so much that what we have available to do something with it. And so what we're trying to build now is the ability to help a never-ending conference, right? We would like a conference to go on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, amongst everybody in this industry, gathering information the same way that the insurance companies do, right? They have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week information gathering system that they work with and share with each other, and it's very beneficial for them, as you should see from their stocks. Okay,
Hmm.
so just pay attention to the stock market with insurance companies, and they'll tell you whether they're doing something right or wrong. It's pretty simple to understand. So in our industry, what we have is a bunch of people biting for the opportunity to get into this realm of cash flow, and doing so in their own generic, different, exciting ways from their business perspective. But the information that they're getting is stuck with them. So you've got this 20-year business or 10-year business, this vast amount of information, but it's not being used. It's not being used for the purpose of data science, AI. So our goal is to try and build something where people can share that information, and share. It's not even business. It's not. You don't have to be scared about it. It's not how you do what you do. It's just what you did.
Hmm.
Hey, I started the number at this amount. This is where we ended up, and this is the type of work that we did. Right? Having a database that says, on average, this many square feet of damaged area across the U.S. costs this much money. It's what Xactimate does, and works with the insurance companies and everyone else to try and figure out their part of it. They're only applying that to estimating. It's not being applied to how to run your business most efficiently, how to communicate better with the insurance carriers, where is the battle worth having and where is it not worth having. A lot of people get this feeling of like, I want to find my opinion of what should happen and fight for that. But in truth, if you were to ask them, they really just want more time with their kids, more time with their wife, and more money in their account. And the way to do that is to not always fight every battle the same way. It's to find the path through the information that says, this is the most successful path. This is the most successful way. We follow this pattern, we follow this process, and maybe it works 92% of the time. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Right? I'll take that.
And it's something that you said to me yesterday that really resonated, because I'm in a mentorship program, and what they're trying to stress is simplification.
Yeah.
Spend 80% on your time of what makes you the most money. And you mentioned how some people are going out of their way trying to get to that extra 15 to 20% that they're not good at, instead of focusing on the 80 that they are good at and extracting an additional 20% out of that 80. How did you reach that conclusion, And how do you articulate that to your clients that want to be good at 100% when you're trying to convince them, let's focus on this 80 and extract more?
Very simply put, we have a little case study to show this. So, taking a business that was operating on a very standardized approach, right? A pretty simple CRM concept, almost like a high-end Excel spreadsheet, right? That exists in that one arena. And then applying that same business model into software, tracking more information that was already being tracked, right? So, like on the front end of a mitigation project, very few people are tracking granularly what they're doing and when they're doing it and how they're billing that information out, right? But it's all being tracked for the purpose of a dry log at the end of the job.
Mm-hmm.
It's all being tracked to go into the desk adjuster to try and get paid. So at some point or another, it's going to get compiled.
Mm-hmm.
So transitioning that to an earlier stage and making the people do it along the way through applications and through software to then get them to the point where when it was done with the job, really it was automatically invoiced. It was done.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an increase in efficiency like that, what you find out is that you can actually give up a little bit of management time, because most of these guys are building in some management time for the time it takes for them to deal with and collect that money. Guys are fighting over a few little differences regarding things that it would cost like maybe $1,000, right? Like, we want to get this number down $1,000, and they're eventually they give way or they go at 500. And what we ran is just some algorithm based reporting off of how long a job took, the total man hours in the job, including the office man hours, and what things were commonly being fought against and for what reason. And by looking at that, we realized, okay, well, if we just bill for a few less fans, like one less fan per area, the total loss in that is like under $500 depending on the size, under $700 depending on the size of what we're doing. And the total time to collect goes down by like 70%. Right? And you could see that and go, well, let's just try that 15 times in a row. And then when you do that and you get the information back, you go, okay, wow, that's 14% more profitable, that route. Well, apply that not to one job, but apply that to 1,000 jobs, and take into consideration that now your invoicing is automated.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a person who, instead of typing up their invoices and spending that screen time there, they're just picking up the phone, calling, trying to get that money in. And they have parameters up front of, like, they know where they can give some of that money up, because you can see in real time how you are affecting your profitability with those changes.
So how easy is it? All right. So do you offer just a solution? Because I know you offer a treatment, which you with somebody throughout their process and helping, learning them, teaching them how to interpret this data.
Yeah.
But is there a solution to this? Have you seen these long-standing, just to use the phrase that I use, analog people being able to just get the solution from you and run it themselves? Or do you anticipate that that's something that is probably better off that they keep you and your company on to manage and to keep interpreting this data, as opposed to, all right, you got it in just one shot?
So we are not offering a one-stop shop solution at this point. I would say that we are maybe a year away from doing that. It's things that we're working in, but the solution that we're offering is going to be a pretty large solution.
Mm-hmm.
So not ready to jump that out to the public just yet. But what we are doing is we're providing businesses right now the ability to get very serious about being ahead of the curve that's going to come in the next year and a half to 2 years. You've got a lot of guys that they were born in the tech stage, okay, and they've lived and grown up in the tech stage, and they are just hitting their business career age. And you can literally find them and follow the largest, fastest growing businesses in the United States in this industry right now, and check out how it is that those people are doing what they're doing. And it'll tell you the story. If you don't get on the tech train, you might as well find a way out now.
Absolutely. So, one last question before I let you go, man. The conference we're at is called Path to Indemnity. Most people know what path means.
Yep.
And most people in or around our business knows what indemnity meaning to be put back to where you were, to be made whole. When you hear the phrase path to indemnity, what does that mean to you? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that phrase?
Log into my account.
Log into your account.
Yep. That to me is the start of this. I cannot understand this business outside of software. It
Absolute.
makes no sense to me.
Ah man, bro, that was, and it's metaphorical to what you're doing. That was the simplest response to that question that I got. The path to indemnity, log in.
Yeah, that's really it for me. That's what we're trying to provide is something that is revolutionary and disruptive to the industry, for the purpose of giving people what everyone is here trying to find a path to, and that is success in the process of indemnity. And I think that you can't do that if you can't measure that.
Mm. In tech, it's become symbolic with disruptive. One more time, man. Tell people who you are and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. Again, my name's Tobias Patch. I am, I'd say, relatively available and will make myself available for anybody in a period of time. You can get a hold of me, Tobias, at worldwideadjusters.com. Shoot me an email anytime. I find those and I'll get back to those quickly. And most importantly, if there's just a question that you have, if you just would like to chat about something, I'm free to do that. My goal in this is to try and help people understand their business at a very, very detailed level, so that you can have more time to be the best person that you are, in the parts of your business that need you most and not the parts that need you the least.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you.
Tobias. Log in, people. Log in.